school project presentation?
Yes.
So you'll be able to get it up on the screen?
That's what she's working on.
I can, oh no, it's not what I'm
No,
working on.
that's not what she's working on, but yes.
But yes,
Do
I
we
will
have
figure
a
it out.
jump drive or something with it on it, or how
That's-
do we?
That's after the announcements, he's coming on.
Yeah, I'll look
10
for the
minutes.
date.
You can put me on like the meeting and
Yeah.
I can stream it.
Oh, can we add him to the Zoom?
Yes.
He knows the computer, he knows
You want him to come up?
computers, did you hear
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Put him on the meeting.
Well,
and
of course he knows computers, he's under 20 years old.
I know.
Okay, watch out, we're live now.
We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Oh, my goodness.
We did it.
Live. Welcome to the April 28th, 2025 Select Board meeting. Sorry. We don't have a very packed agenda tonight, but we got some announcements. So,
Like announced.
I have a bunch of things I want, because I do every meeting, I want to take a moment to talk about a couple things. They got nothing to do with nothing. This past weekend, I took a run around Oak Grove Farm trails. I don't know if any of you people have been to Oak Grove Farm lately,
Yeah, it's lovely.
but it is spectacular. It is Millis's very own emerald necklace. Maybe not Frederick Olmsted, but close enough. I want to send a shout out to John and Sue McAvoy for making it incredible. There are boardwalks, there are stoneways. It is gorgeous, it's inviting, plenty of people use it. But I do want to say one thing about it. It's got nothing to do with nothing. A lot of people walk their dogs there, and a lot of people don't have their dogs on leash, because I think they think that you can. But we have a leash law in Millis, am I correct?
Yes.
And it also covers Oak Grove Farm. And I know everybody has a dog that's well-behaved, right up until the minute they're not well-behaved. And there are plenty of people all over the world that are afraid of dogs. So please, if you are at Oak Grove Farm, please put your dog on a leash, whether you see somebody or you don't, because somebody will be coming around the corner. That's that piece. I also want to talk, I have an announcement about a mailing to seniors, right? Joyce
Yes,
wanted
thank
me
you.
to announce on, hold on, mailing. The Council on Aging, oh, you want to get up
Oh,
and?
no, I thought you just said.
The Council on Aging, in partnership with UMass Boston Gerontology, is launching a survey that's going to be mailed out to Millis older adults, which they peg at age 60 or older. It'll be mailed out in mid-May, and they're going to ask you some questions about your needs and concerns as you age in this lovely town of Millis. So please look for this in your mailbox, and please send it back. I'm hopeful that you don't have to put a stamp on it, right? You just drop it?
And it can be done online as well.
Oh, can it be done online? Well, that's awesome. Okay, and then I want to talk about this unbelievable thing that I had no knowledge of. Did anybody know about the Sand Salt for Senior program?
Yes.
Did you know about that? Well, I didn't know, but did you know about that?
I heard something.
You heard something?
I did.
Well,
Ellen, I don't know anything about it. Why don't you tell us?
apparently, we have a sand salt. I don't think you know anything about it, because you're looking at me like, what are you talking about? Well, apparently, there's a Sand Salt for Senior program, and it ended somewhere around the middle of April. People, the fire department distributes buckets of sand to seniors in town. Does that sound right to you?
Yes.
And some of the buckets come back, they pick them up at the end of the season. I wonder how many buckets they use with this incredible ice season we had. And a lot of them come back with thank you notes in them for, I can't believe that you do this. Anyway, a shout out to the Millis Fire Department and to Otis, I think, who is managing that, and to the Millis COA for providing the list. So that's kind of incredible. Jim McKay's here, so he's got some good news for us, so I don't need to say that. And then,
Not yet.
not yet, because you're coming up, we can wait.
Just kills the room.
You always kill the room, Jim. And we have a focus group. on May 1st,
Oh, yeah.
right? So there is, May 1st, which is a week from, no,
No, it's this Thursday.
it's this Thursday at the Millis Middle High School in the auditorium.
Yep.
There's going to be a public forum. I urge everybody to attend.
What's the topic of this?
The
forum?
topic is going to be,
What are you having
I'm trying to
feeding-
bring it out of her. I know, I've got the agenda.
he's doing a good job. The topic is that we are now in the schematic design phase of the process, which is apparently the fun phase, where we get to design the new facility and establish the scope, budget, and the schedule for this project. So there are a lot of decisions to be made, and at this forum, we get to ask you what your thoughts are on these decisions, and you get to ask questions. This is the first big kickoff to this project. It's going to be quiet over the summer. It'll pick back up in the fall. I urge you to attend. It is Thursday, this Thursday, at 7 o'clock in the Middle High School auditorium. Please come and participate. The last one is, town meeting is May 5th, which is a week from today. That's exciting. What time's that? 7:30?
7:30.
7:30 at the Millis Middle High School auditorium, where it always is. And then the following Monday is the election, May 12th, here, downstairs. And we don't meet again until May 19th, which is crazy. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
He's good with that. All right, now we'll get to the important stuff. Do you have any updates, though, on our placeholder, or was that it, the forum?
The forum for the high school is the placeholders.
Okay.
Unless anybody has any questions about the forum. I mean, that was there so people could ask questions if they had any questions.
Okay, questions on questions. The town meeting and DPW updates, you're in the announcement.
Here we go. Yep.
Here we go. Make us happy.
I will,
I know
actually,
you
today,
will.
that's
I know
some
you
good news
will.
for change. So if we all remember back in November, the town meeting adopted a new change to the bylaw and charter change for the water permit. And as I explained back then, there was a severe water restrictions that would be implemented coming this May 1st. So as part of the bylaw, it was up to the DPW director, where before, the select board would always vote enact the watering ban. Now that's up to the DPW director. There's 3 stages of it, and this is we're gonna print this, but somehow now we have to figure out how to get this to everybody resident and to figure out this new watering ban. It's very complicated. The basic is that people will only be allowed to water 2 days a week, no matter what, as of starting this May 1st. It'll be odd even, and that's how it will be done. There'll be one day that there'll be no watering whatsoever. But we'll figure out how to get it out there. We have to put it in the newspaper, so we have a little bit of time for that. So that's coming up May 1st. Watering ban will go in effect. New signs are being printed, so people can hopefully better understand it, and we'll do the best we can. It'll be all online when Karen, we'll talk to her when she comes back.
That wasn't the good news, was it?
No, that's, well, it is. I mean,
It is
it's,
for the
the permit was accepted,
Okay.
you know. and the-
Okay, yeah, right,
The
right.
good news pertaining to the PFAS plant, we submitted our first requisition to the federal government, and we've already received the money back in our bank. I know there was a lot of people in the finance committee had questioned, whether that was going to be done, and so I've already submitted and gotten one of the pay recs back,
Nice.
and it's already paid for that. So that's with water. Just quickly on the general side, we met with J.H. Lynch today. They're the contractor that's going to pave Route 109. And they know that we're top on the list. They're just waiting to get the District 3 to get the go-ahead for them to start working. So that could be any day now, or until the truck's here and the milling starts to begun, I'll believe it when it happens. We did talk that all that work, if not all of it, most of the milling and paving will be done at night. They said they just cannot do it during the day. You know, it's going to affect several residents. There are people that live on Route 109, but there's not really much we can do about it. So I'll remember that's not costing us, well, eventually, through our taxes, it's costing us, but it's not costing the town. And the estimated amount was $1.87 million for the paving that they're going to do on Route 109. We also had them, it's going to be the same contractor that's going to do our paving from our list. We actually drove around today with them, and David drove around with them. We measured up the streets that I presented to you originally, and hopefully, maybe not at your next meeting, the meeting after that, we'll have a price that we can actually put that out to bid actually before July 1st. And then if there's money left over, and when we get our appropriation in July with Chapter 90, we may be able to add another street to that. If, you know, we'll follow it in succession the way that I said it, that I presented it to you of the paving. And the next one would be Bugaso Circle up in, off Orchard Street. If that's not first, it may be second, but it will definitely be done next year. I mean, it's a road that was probably paved 40, 50 years ago, and it's just totally gone. And what else? Transfer station. Again, at the Finance Committee, I was given a lot of talk about why isn't the transfer station self-funding, so on, so on, so on. So I did look at it. The transfer station, depending on which year it is, because it depends on how much funds come in each given year, because if people turn in their transfer station money in June, that helps offset that fiscal year. And then depending on how many people turn it in July, that could be a deficit on the next fiscal year till you get to the June payment. I did meet with the town administrator about this last week, and we definitely know that there has to be some sort of increase at the transfer station. But in order to do that, we have to have a public hearing. And believe me, that's only if we raise the bag price 10 cents. We have to have a public hearing. So we are planning on looking at definitely raising the price of the bags and the drop-off for mattresses, all that stuff. It's $25 across the board, and it's costing us more to get rid of it than we're actually bringing in. And you can see it. You can see how much, because we're getting more checks for that than you can. It's just like every week we get several, like $500-600 every week from people dropping stuff off. So it's costing us a lot more. But we'll be back with that in January. So right now we're not asking for any increase in the transfer station because we got to get the stickers out to sale. We usually get the 1st of June. And I think that's it.
Do you have an upgrade on the school? You've been doing a lot of work
Yeah, so we
there.
did over there, everything that's going to be part of the budget, the project presentation. We did, we paved it in front of the school entrance. We milled it last week, and that was paved while the kids were on vacation. We ripped up the road in between the tennis courts and the pond, and that will be eventually, that's part of the contract, because we don't have the ability to, putting down a base and then on top of it, a top coat. So that will be part of this project, the paving project. So it's done.
Awesome.
Thanks. I'll see you in the back.
Great news. Okay, well, we're only 8 minutes late. Next on the agenda is a high school senior project presentation. Come on up.
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Introduce yourself.
My
Address?
name is Daniel Sparks.
4 inches to the mic.
4 inches to the mic.
There you go.
My name is Daniel Sparks. I'm a resident of Millis and a senior at Millis High School. Is my presentation sharing?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all right, it's perfect. Better than I could do.
So for my senior project, I wanted to work on something that would benefit both students and parents of Millis High School. In particular, I wanted to work on school grounds, particularly in leaving Millis school grounds, as a lot of the time it is just extremely difficult. It's very, traffic congests very easily, And one of the key parts of that congestion is the little side utility road between the entrance of Millis High School and I think it's Monroe Street, right? Yep. And a lot of the times, well, what are some key problems? Illegal parking. Illegal parking is one of the biggest problems with that utility road. Cars would park illegally on both sides of the street, making it hard to use as a two-way road, and would ultimately cause cars to not be able to actually use it as a two-way road. They're gonna be stuck right in the middle, headbutting each other, unable to move. Loose traffic flow also causes this. It's very difficult for drivers to know where they're going, especially when there's nowhere really to go, causing even more of that standstill. And there are a lot of legal parking options available, such as the legal parking spots on the side of the Millis High School, or legal parking spots down by the CFB. They're just not utilized because people want to get out quickly, and it just causes trouble for the rest of us. And then here are some photos, but this is an example. But they just park on both sides of the road and makes it unbelievably difficult on both sides of the street. And then it leads to problems like this, where they're just unable to pass each other, and it's just
Did you stage
brutal.
that?
I did not stage that.
Come
That was
on.
that was on the last day of me collecting photos. I was like, oh my God, this is a perfect shot.
Just what I needed.
And people just actively do it. I mean, there are signs that say no parking anytime, and they just disobey and go out. I mean, they just go and illegally park, especially with summer coming around. Pickleballers, tennis players, they're going to be swarming those spots like crazy, making it even more difficult for drivers to leave. So the proposed plan: widen the road so that it's much easier for two-way access. That way, so that even if worst-case scenario it begins to pile up again, there'll still be ways to pass each other in a two-way road. Stencil out legal parking on the pickleball court side of the road to allow some drivers to park there legally, as well as support the pickleballers and the tennis players who also park on that road for the courts. Stencil a no parking tow zone on the other side of the road. This is mainly for, fire department, EMS, police department, largely in part because if by any chance there is a issue that happens at Millis High School, they will be able to get up there and there won't be any congestion or any delay to that problem. And then it would be to install more visible signs, try and deter as much as the illegal parking as you can, and ultimately try and make it as a deterrent. So what would it look like? So it'd be more of, the road would be widened for easier two-way. Then legal parking spots would be placed on the tennis ball, pickleball court side. And then a no parking tow zone would be put on the swamp side of the road to deter illegal parking and allow EMS and fire departments to reach Millis High School. Thank you.
Do you know how many parking spaces you get?
First, I want to commend Daniel for doing a great job with this. We've been meeting since October, or I
it
think
was
way back
October.
even. So he's also has met with the police chief, the school resource officer,
Can you go
With
back
this-
one slide?
Yeah, sure.
with this problem. So
Yeah.
if you can see if you take a ride over there now, you can see that we've already widened it to the specification. It's definitely wider than what it was. So what we used millings to put there so people can drive by it now. And with the police chief's approval, this is exactly what we'll do. We'll put a couple of spaces. There's not going to be many, maybe 4.
Maybe
If
they should be
that-
handicapped.
Yeah, well, whatever, we can talk about that in time. We all got to remember, that road was, when it was built for an access road from here, from the fire station to get a fire truck to the high school, and that was all it was there for.
Yeah.
It was not made for, and then when they built the Clyde Brown School, maybe it should have been addressed then, but oh well. So most of the stuff that we took away from our meetings with Daniel was that something needed to start, so we started it, because if we lose a construction season, it's not gonna do any good for anybody. And we took his project seriously. So that's why we, you can see the road is widened already, and the part in front of the school, which we haven't addressed, was even worse, the entrance coming out of the high school. The only thing that we may have to talk with the chief about is making it a two-way or a one-way. He wasn't too happy with it, making it a one-way, which kind of surprised me, but
Which way would the one-way?
it would, Daniel wanted to propose that, come down from the high school to get to McCabe Street. But it's his project, and I told him to propose it the way he wanted to propose it, and we'll go from there.
Are the police on board to enforce the tow zone?
That's the,
Yeah, they would be, of course they would be.
that's the piece of the puzzle, right?
If it's definitely stenciled there, definitely they will be, yeah.
I mean, one of those days, a kid's gonna get hurt.
Mhm.
Try and nip it in the bud as much as you can before it actually happens.
So, what are we here for?
I don't think there's anything approval, this is part of his senior project, and he probably should be talking, and I should shut up, but it's part of his senior project, and he's supposed to, present it here, and he'll be able to do this, maybe use the clippings when he does his project at the high school, at the library.
It's a great idea.
It's a very
It
good
really
idea.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It really,
It's definitely a problem point there.
really is.
And he had drawings and everything before any of those, this is just the final project, he
So
brought
how
in
much did
drawings
you-
and,
How much did you pick up?
on each side of it, there's about 3 feet more than
On each
what we
side.
had, yeah. Most of it's on the pond side,
Right.
and we can actually push it that way, even though the water will still run that way. We're not changing anything, it's just we're
So
gonna
was
make it
there
a
any-
road.
Was there any thought to widening it even more to get
No.
parking on both? Impossible, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd never you'd have that, even with that parked on both sides, just have kids coming in and out.
That's
And
true.
if you had to get an ambulance up there, it
Yeah.
wouldn't work.
Well, you have my vote if you need it. I think it's brilliant, and I think it is going to make a difference, and that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great job.
Well
Thank you.
done and nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Good job. I want to be there when the first car is towed, and as long as it's not mine.
be yours, I was gonna
On the, it will be one of mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have the appointment of the building commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening, I am recommending that the board ratify my appointment of Robert Fogarty as the building commissioner for the town of Millis. Mr. Fogarty has worked for the town since 2020, first as a local inspector, then as an alternate building commissioner, and more recently as our acting building commissioner. Earlier this year, Mr. Fogarty successfully received his certification as a building commissioner in Massachusetts. In addition, Mr. Fogarty has over 30 years of experience in the building and construction trades. And through my interactions with him and from my discussions with other people that have worked with him, I strongly believe that Mr. Fogarty is well-suited for this position and will make an excellent addition to the town's full-time management staff. So I'm asking for the board's ratification of this appointment this evening.
Well, I'm good with it. I know that Mr. Fogarty's been here a long time, and he's a Millis guy, and what more can you ask for? So, I'm excited about this. Congratulations, and do we make,
You have-
Yes.
we have
Yes.
both
Motion?
voted.
I move that the board vote to ratify the town administrator's appointment of Robert Fogarty as the building commissioner for the town of Millis.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Bob.
I was wondering what the cheering section
I,
was.
well, listen,
Then I put it together, it just took me a second.
Did you want to say anything?
Yeah.
Well, get up here.
I'd just like to say thanks to the board, to Mike, to Karen for the opportunity. Looking forward to getting to work next Monday on a full-time basis, and really excited, so.
So are we.
Sure.
Awesome.
Bob.
Thank you very much.
Very excited.
Real
Awesome.
excited.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats
Thank you.
again. Well deserved. Okay. We have a, where am I? Approval, you're coming back, Jim? Approval of the BAN, the band for people?
No, we're just gonna give this to, Jen's gonna take care of this. This is part of the SRF grant. It's been a long fight to get this finally finalized. When we upped the contingency, they made us fill out all the paperwork all over again, so you need to take another vote for getting this approved.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, that sums it up.
then I'm good with
Jennifer
that.
Scannell, Treasurer Collector. So I am here before the board, for the board to seek authorization for the town to enter into a loan agreement with the Mass Clean Water Trust. This loan, as Jim explained, is to pay capital expenditures related to the PFAS plant to address excessive levels of PFAS identified in Well 3, which was authorized twice back in November of '23 at the fall town meeting, and then we needed to do some contingency authorization last fall. So Jim's been up here many times with the PFAS plant. You know, there's federal funding, and then there's this state funding. Just to give you a little background about the Mass Clean Water Trust, it was designed to provide affordable financing for communities that have water infrastructure projects. So the great thing about this loan is it's 0%. So that's the main thing. And, you know, Jim's worked really hard with our engineering services to secure this, along with the federal grant that we're going to get for the remainder of the project. So the amount of this loan is $3,707,090, which is what I need you to authorize today. I did put a suggested motion on my memo to the board. Do you have that down the bottom?
Yes,
In our motion?
the vote of the select board, and it's to be signed by the clerk of the select board.
Hold on.
Do you see it?
1 second.
I have it written if you need it.
I didn't think it was necessary for them to read the entire motion,
No, no,
just to
no, that's
reference
why-
it.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, then
No, no,
I'm
no,
fine.
no, no, no.
I'm
You-
fine
You
then.
got the
Okay.
suggested
Yep, yep,
motion.
I'm good.
Yes. You do not need to read that
Oh, wait,
two-page.
I'm the clerk.
So you're gonna have to sign it.
Sign it.
Yeah, and there's a few documents that I left
I
with
have them
Mike.
in your office to sign after the
Okay,
meeting.
are we good? Aaron?
I think so. I'm going to read this motion.
Well, we'll
and
see.
I move that the board approve the ban for the PFAS plant construction project at well number 3 as detailed in the select board meeting packet.
Second.
No.
I don't know where you got that one.
Not good?
Is it
Okay.
official, is it an official bond?
I got this from bond council. Let's just read this one.
All
so
right.
there's no-
Okay.
It's not that much longer, but it's a little bit more detailed.
Here. We like paper.
It was sent to.
Oh, okay. I don't have that there. All right, thank you. All right, take 2.
That's what happens when Karen is not feeling well.
I move that we adopt
Good job,
the
Mike.
There you
vote
go.
prepared by bond counsel in print before the board in connection with borrowing $3,707,090 through the Mass Clean Water Trust under loan number DW 2442 and sign note closing documents.
That sound
Very
good?
That is
similar
great.
what
Sounds
you
good to
put
me.
there. Second.
Yeah.
So close to the first one. Second.
It's been moved and
A
seconded.
little different.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
I just have to sign it.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the hearing for the package store license, transfer of license, change of manager. You can come up, Sonny, but I'm going to suggest that we push this a week. We have another meeting in 1 week.
Okay,
And I know I got something from you 8 seconds ago,
yeah,
but I can't work with 8 seconds. So we're going to push it. We have a meeting
We have a meeting.
right before
um,
town meeting.
Yes,
6:30.
at 6:30.
At
So
6:30.
I would recommend then that the board take a vote to continue the hearing until Monday, May 5th at 6:30 PM in the middle high school library.
Perfect. I will find you, don't
I
worry.
think we have, do we have to make that motion?
Do you have
Yes.
anything, Aaron?
Yeah.
No.
Do you remember it? Go ahead, Mike.
I move that we continue the hearing to Monday, May 5th at 6:30 in the Millis Middle High School Public Library.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
all right, thank you.
I'll be in
Thanks.
touch.
Yeah, sure.
Don't worry. Go ahead, Jim.
How do the abutters know?
Can you come up?
I know I'm here as an
Can you
abutter.
come up, Jimmy? Okay, so,
My question is, how do the abutters know?
know what? that we
That the
pushed it.
hearing's being moved. I mean, like, we
Well,
got letters to go.
Right, so they were all informed of tonight's hearing, so they should either be here or watching on, cable television. And we gave formal notice at this meeting that it's continued to a future date and time. That's how these things are typically done. This happens a lot with like the planning board and the zoning board.
Do you want to say, Jimmy, do you want to say anything?
Well, I was,
Well, you'd have to open the hearing if he's gonna
Oh,
talk to the.
okay, right.
Oh.
So,
my only question was, is it gonna be a full package store?
it's going to be what it is now.
All right.
There's no change, correct?
As far as I know, it's the same as it.
Sonny,
Same, it's the same,
It's
Yeah.
the same.
It says wine and malt, yeah.
yeah. Wine and malt.
Okay, no change, just change of ownership of the business. Okay, and now, because I told Brutus to be here at 7:40,
We
He's
could
going to
go,
hold-
I know that.
He is never going to be early.
Mr. Berube is here
Oh,
for the
Mr.
item
Berube,
having to do
jump in.
with the batting cage project.
get up here.
And that's just a few items down on your list.
You don't know how lucky you are, Pete. Squeezing me in before Bruce.
I'm glad we could all be lucky.
You may get home before midnight.
Good evening, I'm Pete Berube, I live at 8 Rose Road, and I'm treasurer of Millis Youth Baseball, and I'm here to speak on their behalf. As you may remember, Millis Youth Baseball, for the last 2 to 3 years, has been planning and fundraising to replace the batting cages that are out on the corner by the pickleball court and by Memorial Field. I did not provide you with a proposal for tonight, but it's the exact same proposal that we have shared, and I will send it out this evening or no later than tomorrow for you to review. I've sent you some, in the previous discussions, really our intent is just to replace the batting cages on almost the identical footprint with materials that are more modern and really that are safer. So there won't be any real significant footprint for the batting cages. We are really looking to, one, modernize it, make it a little easier for us to maintain. Every year, those nets that cover that cage have to go up and down. In the new facility or the new system, that wouldn't be required. They would really just be on a rope system. We'd tie them to the poles. The poles will be significant. Right now, they're just like 2-inch galvanized poles. They are in various states of disrepair. They are unsafe. The netting that is out there right now actually, in some cases, touches the poles. So when the balls are batted, there's constant ricochets. It's dangerous. I know personally of people that have gotten hit, including some town employees. Because the whole community's out there, especially this time of year. So the new system, the net would actually be suspended from cables, and it would be away from any poles. And there actually will only be 6 poles total for that entire system. Basically, be 3 on each end, and they would be hung from steel cables. Millis Youth Baseball has, as I said earlier, have done a number of fundraising. We have commitments not only to buy the system ourselves, we have secured commitment from Tresca to help us with the concrete, from a company named Island Lighting, which is in Norfolk. It's owned by a gentleman that lives in Medway, but his wife is a Millis, used to be a Millis resident. She grew up here, and they're happy to support. And then we also have, I believe, commitment from the DPW to help us demolish the existing cage system. So we've put it off a number of times, mainly due to fundraising, but at this point, we just wanted to tell you about it, solicit your support. We understand that there are no permits required for us to do this. We would like to potentially put a concrete pad down, and then put artificial grass or artificial turf over that, so that there is no rock and it's not messy. If there's a permit required for that, we certainly would submit that for approval to the.
Is there a, excuse me, there's no pad now? It's
There
just
is
on the
only
ground?
there's a very small pad just where the batters stand, but not for the entire length.
I remember this. You came up I don't know how many months ago. Months?
Years.
A year?
Years.
It's been at least. So are you only here because it's town property?
Yes,
Well-
essentially, there's two reasons, Madam Chair. One is they've requested the assistance of the Department of Public Works. So just need to get authorization from the board to work with them on this. And also, it is on town property, and it's a change. It's a new construction on town property, and the board technically needs to just give an okay for that to happen.
You know, in terms of ownership of the actual system, I don't know officially, you know, if we were to build it and were to gift it to the town, or if we were just to retain ownership of it, I don't know.
We
You know,
don't
we
need
would
it.
be open to either.
We don't need it, that's not what I was asking. Because then it's responsibility, Pete, and I, you know. But let me ask you, it's Millis Youth Baseball, does softball get to use, does everybody get to use it?
So yes, we're not going to control access to it, and there really hasn't been a problem in all these years that those cages have been out there. We have asked Millis Youth Softball to support the project. I believe if they could, they would. And we plan to allow the school baseball and softball teams to use it as needed. Obviously, we would have to deconflict the times with when they practice. Their cages are in a great state of disrepair. They're probably in worse shape than, in my personal opinion, than the ones that are out there. In addition, I suspect that if the school project goes through, that those could be gobbled up in construction laydown areas or parking lot areas. I don't know what the future of that site is.
Okay, do these things get locked? When
They do not get locked.
So
There's just a
anybody can
just
go
a
in
net.
with a bat and a ball?
Correct. There's no lighting out there
So
now.
you're there at-
Yeah.
oh, okay.
There have been several members of the baseball board that have proposed to move them, to possibly put them on each baseline or out in the outfields. We have proposed to keep them in the exact same position, basically the exact same footprint, because we don't want to change any of the sites for the site for the abutters. It's the exact same
Good.
laydown.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I'm good.
You're good.
I move that the board vote to authorize the Department of Public Works to assist Millis Youth Baseball with the demolition and disposal of the old batting cages and concrete foundations at Majors Field, and to allow Millis Youth Baseball to install new batting cages and concrete pads at the same location.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you for your support.
I hope that putting the placement and doing the work is shorter than the process of getting the approval. All right. Perfect, Brutus. Are we up to, we're at Brutus,
Yes,
right?
We are.
Yes, we are.
Brutus, come
Fit
on up.
perfectly.
So, our municipal moment, you can either stand or sit, probably sit. You look like you need a sit.
Back sore.
Is your back sore?
Get old.
Our municipal moment tonight. Town meeting. How does it work? Does it work? Yes, it works. Spoiler alert. This is so timely because guess what? Town meeting is in
7 days.
7
A week
days.
from tonight.
1 week.
What?
1 week, 1 week. So Brutus is our town moderator. He runs town meeting, as it were. And we also have a former moderator to my left, Erin. If you need any help,
Yep,
available.
I need help.
And let's have at it. Just conversation and let people know.
All right, so I was thinking about this and some things I know and folks don't know. So Millis has what's called a town meeting. It's a form of government.
4 inches to the mic.
4 inches, can you hear
4
me?
inches.
There you go.
Perfect.
So it's an open town meeting. It's one of the oldest forms of government that, and it's still very unique to New England. And in our town meeting, it's open, which means anybody can come, anybody can show up as a resident. They can talk, they can, bring up issues, they can change government.
Do you have to be a voter? Jimmy says
You
yes.
yeah, you're a registered voter.
You have to be a registered voter to attend town meeting.
Well, to
You can
participate.
sit in this,
To participate.
right.
But a resident can talk to vote.
Oh, Jimmy's, were you a moderator, Jimmy?
I think a resident can talk with unanimous consent.
That's
A
right.
non-resident. A
Non-resident.
non-resident.
Yeah.
No,
You
but
net-
even, no, non-voter.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
non-voter, you're right.
Yeah.
Unanimous consent.
Consent to talk.
So
I
Jimmy
remember
just,
Mr. Gracie getting thrown out.
just said that if you're a non-voter and you come and you want to
So do I.
talk, this happens a lot because you could be a business owner and not live in Millis, and something could be on the warrant that affects you. So you come, and you think you're just gonna stand up, but it has to be, nobody can object. If one person, if one resident objects, you can't talk. You could sit, but you can't talk.
Okay. So, like I said, it's an open town meeting. Some towns, they have what's called a representative town meeting. Larger towns will have that. And they break it up in different ways, but you actually vote for a representative for you to speak at town meeting. And also the forms of government people are affiliated, it's like mayor or council or strong town manager and a council. But this is, it's really unique.
What's the matter?
His mic is too close, so it's bouncing. Oh, just a,
4 inches.
Maybe 6, you're loud.
I'm loud, yeah. My voice has been known to carry. So it's very neat. And one story I always tell, back in, I think it was 2014 through MMA, there's a scholarship that I got, Mass Municipal Association, and I hosted Pakistani officials that came here. And you might have remembered, but I took them into Boston, and we saw the legislative work. Then we went to Franklin, where I work, and we saw the city council work. And I took them then I brought them here to Millis Meeting. And this is the truth. These guys, after going to Millis Meeting, is a lively one. So one guy and these guys are pretty high up in Pakistan. One guy ran the trains, another guy was involved in hospitals, another guy was not involved in mining. So they were pretty high up there. But, and then I always remember 2 were named Muhammad and 1 was named Iqbal. But Iqbal afterwards, he was crying after them. He had said that he had never seen government reach down to the people like they did, because people could stand up and they could change government. They don't have that over there. I mean, they're a democracy, but the level that it reached down, they said had never seen anything like that. And he was really, really taken back by it. It was very interesting. And these are guys I asked for it. I'm like, so what's your democracy like over in Pakistan? He's like, yeah, Brutus, I work for the people, I've worked for dictators, I've worked for women, I've worked for men, and these are people that they always stay in government. Like, when the new leaders change and new forms of government, they always stay there. So they were really impressed by what it went down to. The other thing about that that's unique not unique, I appoint the FinCom here. So that's my job, it's not the select board. So we appoint the FinCom. And I've worked with 2 great guys, Mr. Berube, and I'm working with Mr. Lohr right now. And I pretty much let them, choose and do it, but I actually make the appointment afterwards, because they're kind of running the show. And the other thing that's unique here is you're in charge of Oak Grove Farm. I don't know if people know that. It's
Who's in charge of Oak?
the moderator. I appoint the commission up there. And back in what I was told is back in 1984, when the town bought it, there was a big deal. And a lot of residents thought that the selectmen or people at the time were going to sell off pieces of it, and they wanted to keep the farm as a whole. So they wanted to put another layer in there, so they put it under the moderator. So I actually appoint the board that runs up there. So it's,
And the Memorial Day Committee,
yeah.
which I don't think has ever happened.
What's that?
Oh,
Oh, audience.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So that's kind of unique about the position here.
Jimmy, that's our delay. For him to come all over. Okay, now let's talk about town meeting.
So town meeting it's like I said, it's very unique. I find it challenging at times. I also find it rewarding, because a lot of people say it is in this day and age where everything moves so fast, it's a very inefficient form of government. We only meet twice a year to make major decisions. And when I first moved to town here, we only had one town meeting. They'd always have a fall special, but you couldn't get a quorum sometimes because not enough people showed up. So that's why they did the state. So now we have 2 full town meetings. And I always remember when I worked for the town for Public Works, there was a thing that the town you couldn't spend more than 50 grand unless town meeting approved it back in the day. And that's the way it was. We had a sewer lift station over there, the pump failed, so I couldn't buy a new one till town meeting. So meantime, I had the guys going out at overtime, raking it out, so it kept working, and that went on for 4 months, and we ended up spending like 15 grand in overtime, but we couldn't buy it. You know,
That sounds right.
yeah. So that's a tough thing about it. But once again, it goes back to it can be very rewarding because people can work with it. As moderator, it's hard to get people to participate because, you know, we live in a day and age. But it's the same thing that goes back. We can talk about people at home and streaming and time. But I'll tell you what, it was the same way 25 years ago trying to get people to show up to town meeting. And I think you all know, and you all say, it's like, most of the time people don't show up unless it's NIMBA, it's in my backyard, or they're really gonna affect them. They don't come unless it's a big thing.
No, but that's very interesting, because people say today, well, we have everybody, you know, COVID and everything, people don't go out. People never did.
No,
It never did. I remember times when you'd call and say, we don't even have a quorum, get down here. You'd be up
Yes.
at the payphone, get down here, get down here.
and there was one I was telling Ellen about, and I forget what year it was, when the state legislature authorized the 0.25% local tax option on restaurants, which in the whole scheme of things, that was huge, because the legislator don't want to give up no power. They want to be in charge of all taxing. They like getting all the money, and they like deciding who's going to pass out. And it was a huge thing that they actually did 0.25. And obviously there was some controversy on that, because people were like, oh, it's going to run business out, you know, whatever the thing was. But I remember I was home, I was watching it, and I'm like, they don't have a quorum. You know, so I ran down here, and it actually passed by 1 vote, if you go back and look at it. So, and I don't know what the numbers are, but that helps us in our budget. And I don't think really people noticed it.
It's over $100,000 per year.
Thank you, Brutus, for running down here
I know.
and voting for it.
Well, someone else had to vote.
We voted for it. We knew we ran.
Yeah, that's true. You know, someone else had to show up too. So, yeah, that's the thing. And then I think to your point, it makes it more difficult nowadays because people's attention span, okay? Even to get someone down here, you know, the issue goes away and it comes back. So then when you actually get them to town meeting to try to get people to speak, I think it's so great when someone speaks up, and we've all been at different town meetings that people show up that have never spoken before. I mean, that is wonderful. You know, that you can get the guts, the fortitude to stand up in front of your peers, and that's just a tough thing to do because, I mean, it's easy to do on Facebook. Everybody loves to do it on Facebook, where everybody do it, but to actually be in front of a group of people, I mean, that's a tough thing to do, and I really admire folks that do that come down. So, you know, with that said, it's always like you want to allow people to speak, but then as running the meeting, you know, you can't let them speak too much. You know, you can't let it go on too long. That's one thing, but you can't be rude about it, so, you know, we do a standard 3 minutes. But 3 minutes to speak is a long time when it really comes down to it. So you get your message across. And then the other thing is, you know, it comes up quite often is, you know, some people get up and say the same thing. You know, they don't like brown dogs. I don't know, whatever it might be. But all these people keep talking about, okay, we know that. You know, we know it's going to cost $100, you know, because it's been brought 14 times, okay? So you kind of got to move people along, and you kind of got to do it in a good way. And then, you know, I think, you know, I'm gonna say, like, my personality, I try to make it somewhat, you know, entertaining. I want people to come to town meeting and feel like they left with something that, you know, it was, you know, rewarding, whether it's good or bad. You know, sometimes you walk away with town meeting and you're pissed because it didn't go your way. But, you know, that's part of it. You can't win them all, you can't lose them all, and that's the way you gotta do it. So running a meeting, it's really unique. I really like it. I like twice a year doing it. I think it's great. You see the residents come out, you know, and, you know, it's, the one thing I'll say it's hard for me is, some of you might remember, I like to get up and speak and make different points. I really can't do it now as a moderator. I kind of got to sit in the background and, you know, sit out there. But, no, it's a good thing.
What about when people move the question? Can you explain even that, and when you
So-
allow it and when maybe you don't?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. It was explained to me, Mark Sorrell. He's town council in Franklin, but he was moderator for like 20
He was
years
town council in Medfield.
in Medfield
Ever.
too. And he's a lawyer, and he explained it to me in a funny way. He said, he's like, moderator's all powerful. Because, you know, it is. When you're running the town meeting as the moderator, you know, as a select board, you put the warrant together. If I decide not to call a warrant item, there's nothing you really can do about it, because it goes through the moderator. And then it, and it's, you know, I mean, like, the extreme would be, it's like, I don't call the budget. Say, don't call the budget. What are you gonna do? You close town meeting, you can't get rid of me, because I'm an elected official, I have to have a recount, right? How long is that gonna take? We're going past July 1st, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a crazy system. So when they say move the article, it's basically you just can call for a vote. There could be people, you know, and I guess the extreme would be, I could just call for a vote, you don't even have to have a discussion on it. But,
What's your personal opinion on that? Because I've seen people ask for it after one person has spoken, and people ask for it after 50 people. You know what I mean?
so, I always say in my notes, you know, when people come up, you know, I gotta be rational about it. But if, you know, people are inclined to speak, I'm gonna, you know, if someone can move I'm gonna allow people to speak, absolutely. And, to go up there and do that. Yeah, some people wanna move it really quick, or then the other one, their favorite thing is they wanna change the order. You know, they wanna call Article 22 after 2. I mean, you could do that. No, that's just the way it's been laid out. You guys spend time on it, you know, going through it and go
But
through
you
it.
have the power to do that.
What's that? I could, yes,
You could.
yeah.
And what about the all-time favorite, when you have something that comes up, number 3, it's the most controversial, and then it gets voted up or down, and then everybody leaves and goes home. And then somebody waits till the very end and calls it back.
Reconsider, yeah.
You reconsider.
Now, is it true that there has to be new information? I've always heard
That-
that you
they-
just can't call it back because
They say that, but
everybody
who at the time is gonna determine that? What the new
You.
information? Yeah, that's me, and that's, I could say if I'm gonna recall it or not. I can't say, you know, it happened one time that I was here and we didn't accept it. I took the motion to, end the town meeting. So, you know, and there's always, you also see people on the other side, they'll be like raising their hand. Or someone on the FinCom, it's like, soon as the last article, Article 25, they're like, motion, moderator, at town meeting. Yeah, motion to close. So, and you know, you just kind of go like that. I mean, this is me personally, I don't think that's right. That if someone could call back and do something like that, because especially if you had a pretty good discussion going forward, just because people leave. Because you value people's time.
Yes, I think everybody deserves to be respected, especially at town meeting.
Yeah.
Because like you say, I remember the woman at the last one, so nervous, I think it was her first time speaking, and she had a great thing to say. Everybody has something good to say.
Yeah.
It's awesome. No, it really is.
You got something? You got a question? You look like you got a question.
I don't have a question, I'm just, the reconsideration, I've only, you know, I've seen it proposed once or twice, and that's about it. And one time there was new information, but still didn't pass. You know,
Yeah.
people are respectful of, and it may have deserved to be reconsidered that time, because there was clearly new information that came in, we just brought it back at the next town meeting.
Mhm.
But, anyway, so yeah, no, that's, I enjoy town meeting.
Aaron, how long were you moderator?
Only 2 years.
2 years, only 2 years. How long have you been moderator?
This
is
3, 4?
Fourth year, yeah.
4th? Wow.
I do remember the COVID one out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the best town
That
meetings
was the
ever.
best one.
Yeah.
That was a good
I
one.
can say we had happy hour. It was just
did.
fun.
We were sitting together, Brutus. Yes, we had happy
We
hour.
got very lucky with the weather.
The weather was beautiful. I mean, it was-
Gorgeous.
November day in the high 60s, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
it
spectacular.
was spectacular, and that was just, yeah, that's cool. And that you go down, like, you know, you get the jokes all the time, it's like small town America. You know what I mean? We made the best of something that was awful, and we worked through it, and then, you know, a lot of different things come up. I always say, I tell my friends, you know how I talk, but the first town meeting I had, it was the schools and the old people. I mean, remember how packed it was? I mean,
God, that
there,
one was awful.
there had to be 600 people. We couldn't start till 7:30.
rooms.
Yeah, 2 rooms.
2 rooms
But that's
full.
so cool, right?
It was
I mean,
cool. There were a
yeah,
lot of,
that
there were
people
a
showed
lot
up.
of people there.
And a lot of passionate people, and that's what. And I wish every town meeting's like that. You know,
It should be.
yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
I
guys,
don't think people understand the power that they wield.
Yeah.
by being able to go to town meeting, having that right to vote and enact things. And I just don't think people quite
Believe it.
understand or believe it, yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
they believe it. But Joyce, you want to come up?
This is excellent, what you're doing. This is excellent. You're explaining. Your questions are superb. One of the things I did want to comment, though, is there are a lot of people who are afraid to come because they don't think they'll be heard. So somehow it has to be emphasized, because people have been shot down when they've spoken. The audience has seen it, the TV land has seen it, and then they go, well, why should I bother saying anything? Because I'm not going to be heard. So I think that's key. I think it's great knowing what all these terms mean, but the feeling of being welcomed is so important. So I
Well,
did.
nobody's more welcoming than Brutus.
Yeah, I don't understand when you say people don't feel like they're being heard.
There've been some town meetings in the past, not
Yeah,
that you
I'm not
moderated.
saying you as a moderator.
Oh.
I'm
That-
just saying that there have been times when people have wanted to say things but were afraid to because they thought they'd be shut down. There
By
are
the,
times.
by their peers?
By their
Like
peers
their
and,
fellow
yeah,
citizens?
yep, that, and by the people. I actually had to coax somebody to tell her, you're not going to be shut down. Speak your mind. You have every right. And it took her weeks to decide to finally do it, and she finally did. She felt great, but the poor thing was so shaken because she,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and there's a difference between being shot down and being disagreed with. I mean, unfortunately, I've seen too many people who feel that since I spoke against what they just spoke in favor of, it's somehow an attack. And
Right.
it's a difference of opinion. I had at it with Dave Baker after one meeting 10, 15 years ago, and we're fine. You know, it's just different people have different opinions on things. And not everybody's going to agree with your opinion. And once you accept that, you're set for town meeting.
but see, you
Yeah.
speaking this now and people watching
Yeah,
this.
But
It's
there's
important.
also, people react to town meeting, right? If people are gonna cheer, if they're for it, they're gonna boo, if they're against it, it's part of the
Which-
Well,
drama.
I would suggest
No.
that they probably shouldn't be doing that.
They shouldn't be
Yeah.
doing that.
You shouldn't be cheering, booing, and applauding. You should speak your mind, and then somebody, in my opinion, and I'm not the moderator, there's two of us that haven't been yet.
And
Up
we
here.
won't.
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out. I've got a retirement plan.
No, you can-
Not for several years,
Okay,
Brutus.
I've always said whoever wants this position besides me is fine.
Yeah,
But
no.
I don't mind doing it.
I got a couple more here at least. But
People
no,
do
I think that,
react.
but I don't think they should. I think that the reactions do
Human nature.
cause more
Yes.
confusion. And, well, that's where it gets, people that I adamantly disagree with who are making the exact wrong point from what we're arguing shouldn't be booed. They should be educated. They should be explained. It should be, somebody should speak against them, but booing, applauding, and cheering, though I've been the recipient of both, I don't believe it has a place at town meeting.
Listen, it doesn't matter what you believe. People are going to react. It doesn't necessarily translate into votes.
Thank you very
still-
much.
You still have a vote.
Yeah.
Let me
And
ask you this,
what-
though. You said you've talked to people before.
Mm-hmm.
What could I do as moderator to try to make it more welcoming for people? I mean, there's been things in the past with voting. They've talked about, the handheld ones, so people don't have to stand up and vote
Right.
because they don't want to be
Seen.
seen one way, and, but I mean, I'm always open for suggestions.
Well, I
don't know
think
what else we can do.
honestly, just saying that as a preface, saying that there is no one in this room that is not invited to speak. And if you have something to say, please feel free to, and it's okay.
Well, I'll mention that in my.
I mean, I think that's really important.
Opening.
I mean, I can tell somebody speak, but I'm not a moderator, I'm not the select board, I'm a finance person, but I can't, as a friend, I can say it, but I think in your position,
The job can be hard too, in that, people that don't quite have a grasp on town meeting think it's time to get up and speak on whatever town affairs that they want to speak to,
No,
which
I
is
understand that.
nice, but.
No, I'm not saying that. I just want him, and he could say, whatever
needs
you
to
want to
be-
be, whatever you'd like to speak about. It has to be in reference to what's on our warrant.
Right.
But don't fear coming up. This is your given right. This
So
is-
we should back up a little, Mike, and talk about the fact that we spend months preparing the warrant, right?
Yes.
And different articles have different ways of passing or not. Some are 50-50, they can win by one vote. So-
2/3.
Yeah, we should do
Yeah.
a little before you get to town meeting. You got anything?
Yeah, well, certainly as far as composing the warrant, there's a process that really starts in January, and even before. We start collecting, maybe things or issues that need to be looked at over the winter prior to, say, a Springtown meeting. And we work on those warrant articles, and we do have a kind of a somewhat of a historic sequence of articles that we go through, but some of it, we look at and determine what's the best order that makes sense on a number of levels. There's a lot of work that goes in to try to determine, do we need a second room? Do we need a third room? Do we, what level of staffing do we need there? What level of planning? I mean, we have a planning meeting later this week on certain officials to prepare for the town meeting. And during COVID, we'd have 3 or 4 of these meetings because it got very complicated. And the town moderator knows that a lot of things happen behind the scenes just to get ready and try to make the public as informed as possible.
Right.
It is truly hard to reach everyone,
Right,
because
but-
sometimes if they're not, we do send out, the finance committee sends out a flyer.
Yeah.
So, I know there's been times in the past where the post office might have missed, a few places. But we do try through the website to try to reach out to everyone and inform them. The finance committee meetings, we have a pre-town meeting in 2 days with the finance committee. So there's a lot of attempts to reach the public.
So the warrant articles get set, most
Yeah.
of them do with budget, what we're spending money on.
Yes,
And we need everybody to vote at town meeting.
Yeah.
And they get put into a book, and how many do we have this?
21, I
21?
believe.
They're typically
Yeah,
20s
every town is different. We
I know, but
usually
we-
have between 20 to 30.
20 to 30.
And some
They-
towns have 50 or 60.
Right.
But we try to do it in a way that it's manageable. And we do have the benefit, as the town moderator said, we do have 2 annual town meetings. So we have the leeway to kind of spread those out a little bit based on priority. The spring tend to be focused on the budget. In the fall, we'll be tweaking budgets, but mostly bylaws, zoning issues, those types of things.
So we work with finance, we work with every single town, every single board and committee comes before us, they give us what they want, we put it all together, we talk with everybody, we prepare the warrant, the book gets mailed out, I just got mine Friday.
Yep.
That's what's gonna be presented, that's your Bible for town meeting. You can take your
Right.
book with you and follow along, and it's gonna go in order, and then we split up these articles, right? We each get 8 or 7.5, and finance does the same thing, they split up what they're going to present, and it's a process that takes 6 months.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is we get it done in one night, and there's huge kudos to the moderator for keeping the meeting running and moving so that we can get through it.
You hear about towns, I remember growing up, going to some town meetings that went to 1 in the morning, and then the next night,
Yeah.
to 1 in the
Yeah.
morning. and
Multiple
the next-
nights.
I
Yeah.
went to some of those too.
I mean,
Arlington's known for like 4
Crazy.
to 5 days.
and
Those
we-
representative town meetings
Yeah.
can be rough.
Representative approval.
Right.
Yeah, and
Where-
then the other piece with the,
Go ahead.
yeah, the other piece with the putting items on, I've got a list of 3 items that came in after we closed our warrant the first time that we would probably consider in November. I mean, they just came in after we did the official first close. I don't like adding stuff, big items after that.
Right.
And then there's the petitioned articles, people petition those on, so you need 9 of your friends, you and 9 other registered voters can make us consider it at town meeting. so.
They're great. I did a
Yeah.
couple.
Those are the fun ones. We call those the fun ones.
Well, and actually, and we have to accept them as written. I remember we had one that came in, spelling errors, grammatical mistakes, and other issues. But you have to put it out there like it is, so it's interesting.
One last thing, or hopefully last. Where are these articles, where do they come from? How are they created and how are they, why are there sometimes 16, sometimes 22? But how do they come to you and become articles?
There's suggestions from different boards and committees, but the select board has the final say on what goes on there. For instance, there was a request for a vehicle for the building inspector that went through and made it through the capital planning committee.
Right.
And was evaluated, and finance committee talked about it. We chose not to even put it on, so we took that off the warrant. And since we took it off the warrant, since we write the warrant, it can't come back on that warrant. So maybe it'll be considered a future meeting, maybe not, but no, it's the discretion of the select board what goes on to that warrant. We receive input from a lot of people, but really it's the three of us that have the final
It's
say of
really,
what goes on.
it's really every board and department coming to us and saying, this is what we need. This is what we need. I need 3 police officers. I need 2 fire people. I need a fire truck. I'd like a DPW worker. We'd like some capital improvements here to this building. And we go through, Craig, how much money do we have? We got the pot of money, we got the pot of asks, and how do we divvy it up?
Yeah. And then
That's-
other questions, like policy questions, those either originate from us, from the town administrator, or from citizens who make requests.
And then you've got zoning bylaws that'll come
Yeah.
from the planning board, and other requests for special projects from different boards and committees. So they really come from any number of sources within the community. And as was mentioned, the warrant is the select board's warrant. And once the board approves and signs the warrant and the constable posts it, their heavy lifting is done. At that point, it's purely the finance committee, the moderator, and the town meeting. And we're there as town officials to provide information and guidance, but at that point, it's in the hands of the town meeting.
Okay, that's good, but that's, I think,
good
good,
stuff.
good stuff. Thank you.
Brutus, anything else? Excellent job.
Oh, thank you for having me. There are good, I believe there's gonna be some openings on the FinCom. So if people are interested, I think if you go to the town website and you can reach out to the chairman, John Lohr, is gonna be talking to some folks and stuff. So
Okay.
there's a couple openings, transition. And I always said that if you see yourself wanting to get into like town government, the best place to go is FinCom. I can tell you, I've been doing this for years, and people run like, I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna get new police, I'm gonna get rid of DPW, and then, schools, and they get there, well, we only have so much money. So, and you guys all know this, I always think that FinCom is just a great working knowledge. And as you said, everybody, before they hit you, they're talking to every board, they're talking to every department head, they're talking to all the chiefs, and they're figuring out what the priorities are of the town. So it's a good gig, if you like doing that
Finance
stuff.
committee is a great way to start. I was on it for
You
20
spent a
plus
couple years on it, I think.
About 20-something. Then my kids all moved out of the house, I ran for this. I'll see my wife on Friday night if things go well this week.
Yeah, so, it's,
Keeps a good marriage really good.
Yeah, I found that.
Good stuff.
all right,
I'm looking forward to it. It's
Yeah,
always a good time. It's always a
I
good
know.
time, town meeting. What else are you gonna do on a Monday night? Right?
Yeah.
All the
football.
restaurants are closed in town, all of them.
what's up with that everywhere? You
Well,
can't
that's
go
not
out after
true.
10 o'clock anymore. Everybody's home.
Um,
It's weird. No, it
Cappy's
is.
is open. What's the name?
Noon Hill Grill's open on Mondays.
Yeah, Noon Hill still's, but even like over in Franklin, they all.
Victory Lane's open.
Yeah.
I called it Cappy's.
Cappy's, I don't know. I'm never gonna get the new name. It's been named that for 30 years.
I know. My wife
Cool.
approved
Thank you.
that one.
Thanks for coming, Brutus. Thank
you. See ya.
Thank you, Brutus.
All right,
Moving on.
moving on. Discuss preparations for annual town meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We actually covered most of this.
We did.
And really also put it there just in case there were any last-minute changes or discussions. There really isn't. We are, been working with Millis Community Media on trying to live
Are we
stream.
doing anything different?
We're live
live
streaming
streaming it.
the meeting. We're going to be in a transition phase. So for this upcoming town meeting, it won't actually be on live cable, but it will be live streamed. We do need to get some technical upgrades in order to be able to do it on the cable as well. But for this year, well, it's going to be live streamed, so anyone with an internet connection will, for any reason they can't make it to the meeting, they can watch it on,
Now, you can
on
watch it. You
YouTube.
cannot vote
you cannot vote on
through
YouTube.
your phone
No.
yet.
Ever.
So please come to the meeting, Monday.
So that's all I have on that, Madam
All right,
Chair.
that's good. Okay, vote to award the contract for the Lansing Millis Train Station reno.
Yes, Madam Chair. We did receive, we only received two proposals for the Lansing Millis Building Restoration Project. The low bid by far was by Aqua Barriers, Inc., for the restoration of that building. The winning base bid for the project was $230,690. The town did appropriate $250,000 for the project at the fall town meeting. We have reviewed Aqua Barriers' bid, and all the requirements have been met. And I have reached out to the Permanent Building Committee, and they are in agreement that Aqua Barriers, Inc. Should be the one that's company awarded the bid. We are still reviewing the feasibility of alternates 1 and 2, but this evening, basically what I'm requesting is that the board vote to authorize me to sign a notice of award to Aqua Barriers. And I estimate that hopefully by your next meeting, we'll have the actual contract documents drawn up for the board to approve so that the project can get underway quickly.
Awesome. I need to recuse myself from this because he happens to be my roofer.
So I have questions.
So go.
So we're approving the amount of money to award the contract, but we haven't seen the contract yet?
All you're doing is you're awarding the bid. So the contract will actually come within the next week. We need to finalize the documents.
We're authorizing him to sign.
So we're just doing a notice of award, so you're not approving the contract. The contract will be approved. We do have to, within so many days, give a notice of award to the bidder.
Okay.
So this is still contingent on making sure we have a contract that is both agreeable to both the town and to the contractor.
Because I was curious as to what the contract was going to include, since the alternatives are the flat roof and the masonry repair and repointing. So if that's not part of the contract, I was wondering what was.
It may well be, but basically what the notice of award says, that the base bid in the amount of $230,690 has been accepted. Additionally, the town conditionally accepts your bids for add alternates 1 and/or 2, dependent on receipt of future additional funding. So we don't have the full funding currently, but we can certainly meet with the bidder, and we can negotiate that down further, or we could search for other funding sources, or do some sort of combination of both. So that's part of the contract negotiation.
Okay.
The town has the liberty of negotiating the low bidder down. The low bidder can't go any higher, but the town always has that ability.
Okay.
So we'll see an official contract when you're done with the
Yes,
negotiations.
I've been in contact with Attorney Liz Lyden from Mead, Talon, and Costa, and she is currently working on that draft contract, and I should have that by later this week for the board's consideration.
Okay.
So this award basically says that they are the low bidder,
Okay.
and as long as they agree to a contract that's in line with this, then we'll move forward with them.
Okay.
So I'm recusing myself.
Okay.
So you guys take-
Oh,
take-
all right. So I move that the board, upon recommendation of the Permanent Building Committee, award the contract for the restoration of the Lansing Millis Building to Aqua Barriers Incorporated, and to authorize the town administrator to sign the letter of award to Aqua Barriers Incorporated.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, okay.
I wasn't going to say anything, but the word kind of set me off. you keep saying restoration, renovation. It's not a renovation. And to keep saying renovation implies, or could get people to perceive, that this is all that's needed to get that building up to snuff, and we know that it's not. All it is a protective, basic protective exterior work to keep it from deteriorating further. So I would just caution you from saying renovate.
It's actually I would classify it as a restoration of the exterior envelope of the building, which is really the legal language we need to use as part of the CPC funds. Because
Okay.
they can't get involved in renovations, it's restoration
Restoration.
And that's what
of the
your motion
exterior.
said. Yeah,
Yep,
contact of the restoration, yeah, so that's what the motion said.
okay, yeah.
renovation, okay.
Restoration, okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Okay. We have a review approval of outdoor seating for Napa Tandies and Cravings. Are they together? Are they separate?
Same
Yeah,
parking lot.
yes, they share
Oh,
the,
same
basically
parking
same,
lot.
the same general parking area. So this is essentially a request from those two establishments to be able to utilize an area of the parking area behind those establishments. Also, as part of this, the ABCC requires that the board officially authorize the use of that area, since for Napa Tandies, it would be part of their liquor license, and they would be able to serve in that area. So that's the request this evening, is for the board to approve. And this really got its genesis during COVID, but it's proved to be extremely successful and popular. And it's my understanding it really hasn't caused any serious problems with the parking. There's still sufficient parking back there at this point. And the board could always, this is really, at this point, a one-year approval. And the board in the future could change this if the parking became an issue. But again, this is to support the local businesses in that
Yeah,
area.
but it's cordoned off in the back.
Right.
Yes.
Private, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I move that the board approve outdoor seating for Napa Tandies and Cravings as requested and described in the materials in the meeting packet. I'm,
Do we
Have
have to
two
do one
motions.
separately?
There's two,
Wait a second.
there's two different, yeah.
okay.
Oh, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
I move that the board vote to approve the use of a portion of the town-owned parking area by Napa Tandies and Cravings as described in the packet for this purpose.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous.
Just
Right.
trying to see what the
Thank you.
difference was between those two. but-
Well, one is actually expands for the use of the liquor license and so
Yeah.
forth, and the other is actual use of the town property.
There were different words, I figured it was different. Yeah.
Slightly different.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Are we,
So liaisons.
Liaisons. Oh, the last two are going to be deferred to a future meeting.
Okay.
But, so the only item you have left is the liaison updates.
okay,
Sure.
I'm looking at my calendar. You have anything?
Nope,
I attended Finance Committee.
So did I.
All right, doesn't count.
that doesn't count.
That was a posted meeting.
Yeah,
We
yeah, that's,
cross each other out.
Yeah.
That's it.
I got nothing else.
I got nothing.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Even better. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, can we reconsider? No.
No.
I'd like to move to reconsider something.
That was Brutus.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll see you Monday night.
Yep.